Thorne flicked it on, and it's gone in! Pardew! 4-3 Palace!
The winning goal that's put Crystal Palace into this year's cup final. An extraordinary 4-3 victory over Liverpool this afternoon. If you watched it earlier, I'm sure you'll agree it was well merited too. Now here at Main Road we concentrate on the other semi-final, Oldham against Manchester United. Jimmy Hill is at this one with us. And Jimmy, interesting to see Brian Robson back in the United team this afternoon after 3 months.
And Neil Webb as well, of course. And I don't think it's a disadvantage for them playing in front of 40,000 people. Although they've had injuries, I think the fact that that number of people in the ground going to mean they're going to forget all injuries. I mean, they haven't forgotten how to play while they've been out.
Well, you can't write anybody off now after that other victory, but Oldham's season has fallen away over the last few weeks just a little bit.
Yes, I did predict that they would go downhill in the league, and that has happened, not with any malice, but because they'd had so much emotional excitement that they were going to struggle. So on that basis, I'm not surprised. The question is, can they come back on one day with their full team out and produce the kind of result that was produced this morning by Crystal Palace?
It's a good psychological advantage for United to have Robson back in the side, I would have thought.
Yes,
even if he's not fit to last the whole game, start with him.
Start with your best team. I mean, don't disappoint the other side by starting with something inferior. But we'd be idiotic, I think, at this time of the year, you know, with a hardish sort of ground. They were watering it this morning, but there's still the odd bad bounce and a bit of a wind here. The match is going to be a close one. I mean, it's silly to say, as we found out, that any side is superior in a semi-final. Both sides have a chance of winning it. I expect United to win it because I think Oldham's season has caught up with them already to an extent. They should be very proud of it, but their disadvantage is they're already at Wembley in the Little Woods Cup. So if they lose, it isn't the end of the season for them. United, it's everything for them and their manager.
OK, Jim. Now, our match commentators for this one, Trevor Brooking and Barry Davis.
Well, the sun is shining over Manchester, as it was over the city of Birmingham. The question is, how will the drama compare? We're still waiting for the two teams as we look over the city of Manchester, and the delight here among the Manchester United supporters to hear that Liverpool are no longer in the FA Cup very nearly took the roof off the far stand here at Main Road. We're looking down the tunnel as the officials wait to bring out the two teams. Referee is Joe Worrell of Warrington. Two linesmen, Dave Frampton and John Sinclair. And there's a reserve referee on the left there, Mike Peck. From the shadows into the sunshine. The reception from two bands of supporters separated only by 10 miles. Oldham in blue, Manchester United in red. Special welcome for Brian Robson. His last game was against Liverpool, in the first team that is, on December the 23rd. Since then, the groin and the hernia operation. So let's check on the two lineups. First of all, Oldham Athletic. In the end, the only change from a third consecutive league defeat at Leicester on Tuesday is in goal, where John Holworth reclaims the position from Andy Rhodes. For 22-year-old Earl Barrett, it's a return to the ground where his career began. For 29-year-old Andy Ritchie, a contest against the club for whom he was 13th man at Wembley 11 years ago. The Manchester United side, you know already that Robson and Webb are included. The man who stands down is Danny Wallace. It's a side apparently packed with midfield players, because Brian McClare has been playing wide on the right. It'll be interesting to see whether he does so again, or whether he now joins Mark Hughes up front. Neil Webb played his first full game 8 days ago. That was against Coventry City at Old Trafford, when he hit the crossbar, but he was given a fairly free role and he wasn't put under much pressure. Andy Ritchie, who's been troubled with a groin strain, but came back on Tuesday, and there was never really any doubt that he would play in this one. He's played in the semi-final for Leeds United and for Manchester United. Joe Worrell whistles up for the two skippers. Cup final referee 12 months ago, Joe Worrell, now greets Mike Milligan and the Oldham substitute, Stephen Smith, 12-year-old. Brian Robson, a little older than that, 33. But full of smiles, and understandably so. Mike Milligan has just forced himself into the Irish group for the World Cup. He played against England B at Cork and played very well by all accounts. He's been a key man in their side. Robson had the choice, it would seem. Well, it's 10 years ago, as we see Robson exhort his troops. It's 10 years ago since the second division side won the FA Cup. The man who scored the winning goal then is sitting next to me, Trevor Brooking.
Well, shocks can happen, as you just said, about 10 years ago, but we've also seen Crystal Palace perform great already, and is really set up for another great second semi-final, I'm sure.
Referee just checking. He's happy with everything. We'll probably hear a helicopter above us. There's also a plane just leaving Manchester Airport, giving the passengers a view of this second FA Cup semi-final of the day. And for a change, of course, the winners know who is waiting for them at Wembley. Ian Marshall scored twice against his old club Everton, including the decisive one. And it's Oldham attacking the goal to our left. And that went under Gary Pallister. He won't want that to happen too much, particularly not in the last third of the field. McPherson with the throw. McClare started on the right. Holden, who went then with Hughes, and McClare now behind Holden. Andy Holden, who's reclaimed his place after injury from Paul Warhurst. He's starting very much on the right side, and very much in the right-back position, with Gibson playing in midfield, it would seem.
It's always interesting to see United's formation. Michael Phelan is going to play right back, important role with Ricky Holden, of course, down the left-hand side. And then Gibson will play wide on the left, McClare wide on the right, and Webb will be given a free role just behind Mark Hughes up front.
Pitch has been well watered, as Jimmy Hill said. In fact, during the course of the week, it's had on it 36,000 gallons of water. Pallister in the battle with Marshall, all a little bit untidy. Phelan can give a feel of the ball to Jim Leighton. I think Leighton would appreciate it. Knows well what it's like to be in a Scottish Cup final, Jim Leighton. It was Redfern, but he had no real control on the ball. Robson. Barrett and Hughes won by Holden. Dennis Irwin, former Leeds United player, and like his skipper Mike Milligan, forcing himself to the fringe of the Republic of Ireland's World Cup squad. Also played in the B match at Cork. Uncomfortable that for Phelan. Here's Andy Ritchie. What a strong challenge by Bruce. And then by Robson. He really is unbelievable, Brian Robson. That sort of challenge, his first in a match when he's been out so long. The ball must have squealed. Won by Martin. And the free kick is against Gibson for the challenge on Milligan. And Oldham with 4 forward. 2 wide, 2 down the middle. Earl Barrett in possession. It's a little bit long. Leclerc. Hughes. Instant, but comfortably cut out by Barlow. Good challenge by Hughes, it was enough. Webb. Nick Henry, who got back to deny him any room. Andy Barlow there is the only Oldham-born player in the Oldham side. And has played at Wembley. Phelan. Good cover by Holden. Good play by the skipper. Barlow's appearance at Wembley was as a schoolboy playing rugby league before the Rugby League Cup final. Here goes Andy Ritchie. And Holden trying to follow it through to get round behind Phelan, but a bit of a mess between Phelan and Jim Leighton, about which there were no words. And the first corner of the match is to the second division side. Holden will take it. Marshall on the near post. Holden again. Tried to change the angle. An awkward one, and Barrett! Earl Barrett, the scorer. What a mess for Manchester United. What a delight for Oldham Athletic. He just had to stand there and wave his foot as the ball came across. Ritchie went for it. I must say he looks a bit offside in that position, but the goal is given. Oldham have the lead.
Well, what an amazing start. Really, Rick Holden nearly got on the first ball across the face of the goal, and Michael Phelan cut it out, and they were lucky to get away with that. And then Ricky Holden, it was again, whipped in the cross. He's been so effective, hasn't he, either side with those whipped in crosses. And as you say, Andy Ritchie just, I think, took the eye off the ball for Jim Leighton, and there it was, Earl Barrett. Couldn't believe it, 5 yards out, open goal, 1-0.
Owen. Free kick is given. Paul Ince was complaining.
You're querying the offside just now, Barry. I think when the ball was first whipped in, then Man United moved up, and I've got a feeling, although he looked well offside when he's tapped it in, when the ball was played, it probably wasn't.
Well, certainly the referee and linesman were absolutely down the line where Barrett was standing. They had no doubts about it. It's United free kick. It's where the ball was lost by Leighton. Hughes. Irwin. Redfern to Ritchie is seeing a lot of the ball, and that's good for Oldham. And whatever happens to the second division side, they've set some good standards in that division and in attitude to the game and to people. Flag was up for offside, and Paul Ince again complains. And he would do well to calm down a little bit. Young man rather shaken by the start. I don't think he's alone in the United team. Oldham's 54th match of the season, their 16th in cup competitions, and they have a priceless lead.
Goes apart from rocking Manchester United a bit. Oldham, who having lost 3 league games in 10 days, really got the boost there of an early goal, which now I think was vital, because if they'd have gone down in a game, having lost 3 league games, you know, you wonder whether the chins might have dropped. But now you can see them really fired up, taking such an early lead.
Particularly Trevor, as in those 3 league games, they conceded 6 and failed to score. So it's ended that scoring drought at the best possible time. Mark Hughes and Andy Holden. Webb underneath it, beaten by Barrett. Could he handle it? Redfern looking for Ritchie. Phelan gets in front of Ritchie. Flick on by Hughes. Gibson, great challenge by Holden. Strike was up. United to push right up to about 15 yards on the halfway line. Webb. Been given no time to settle on the ball, and that's no surprise. It was by Coventry City. Ten minutes gone. Manchester United on the wrong end of a 1-0 score. And the man who scored the goal is in the centre of your picture there, Earl Barrett. His 3rd goal of the season, incidentally. Webb to chase. Andy Holden has made a very solid start. Here's Webb. Brings it back. Off Henry for the corner. Manchester United's first. In which Webb takes a central position, in which Gibson will curl in. There in the middle of the 6-yard box. Bruce didn't get cleanly at it. Paul Ince, blocked by Barlow. Michael Phelan's had a difficult start playing at right back. It's an interesting choice by Alec Ferguson, particularly bearing in mind that Paul Ince has played at fullback for him earlier in the season. Indeed, fairly recently. Leclerc. Put up. Bannister and Bruce both up on the far side, joining Gibson and Hughes. McClare in the centre. Bruce comes a bit short. It's out by Milligan. Ritchie. It's a major part of his role in the side, Andy Ritchie. He's very much the man to whom they give the ball and who will hold it up for others to come forward. Alistair, the cover man. Ince. Nobody wide. Had to go that way, covered by Barrett. Gives it away to Ince. Barrett seems unsure where to go. He's not covering behind the fullback. And Manchester United get the corner. And Barrett found himself a little bit as a spectator then. Wasn't really sure whether to stay with the man that he was initially trying to mark or to cover behind the man who was defending. Bit of push and shove with McClare. That's a difficult one and is brilliantly taken by John Horwath. Got his place back from Andy Rhodes after missing the last 2 games.
That was Earl Barrett knocking it back, still recovering probably from scoring in the 3rd minute. And as I say, I was still pretty sure that he wasn't offside. When the ball was whipped in, Ricky Holden, he did certainly make ground. We saw from the replay from behind the goal, you could see him take 4 or 5 strides forward.
Alistair making life unnecessarily difficult for himself. Hughes. Webb. Difficult for Neil Webb. So far he's playing like a man who hasn't been playing first-team football.
It's an interesting selection by both managers, really. You got Ryan Robson and Neil Webb both been out long times, and of course Andy Holden and Andy Ritchie of Oldham. And it's a case of which of those 4, I suppose, makes the most impression.
This is Hughes. 4 United players in the area. Paul Ince. Phelan over to the right. Good challenge by Milligan. Good dummy by Ritchie. Marshall is far side. That's for whom it's aimed, but Marshall is offside. Lovely dummy, which Pallister balked completely, but it needed the instant crossfield ball. Barlow and McClare, and the free kick against the Oldham man, who's pulled away by Andy Holden. There is no man on the pitch keener to get to Wembley unless it's Brian Robson, and it's Robson who will take the kick. Twice captain the winning side for United there. And that's one of his better free kicks. Webb. Ritchie. Bit of pulling. But the referee doesn't get the free kick. Hughes tries to get something from Mr. Worrell for that, and Mr. Worrell, quite rightly, turns with an expression of disdain. Offside against Marshall.
We mentioned Andy Ritchie and Andy Holden here, sort of out wide, 2 key men sort of this season. But I think the 2 midfield men, Milligan and Henry, are so busy, people, that you know, they close people down. Ince, Webb and Robson at the moment haven't been able to get any space, and those 2, as I say, are really key players. And I think Joe Roll has pinpointed those 2 as being very important if Oldham are going to be successful this afternoon.
He's the most influential player on the park at the moment. Getting ahead of Brian Robson. So much at stake for him, not only a place at Wembley, but if he could get the better of Brian Robson, then Jack Charlton would surely have to take note. Barrett had to watch the bounce and did well. Dear oh dear, Hughes calling all over him. Leclerc, in spite of having three around him initially. Phelan, Rick Holden covering the space in front. This is Webb, Barlow to him. It's well done by Webb. Gibson at the back post. And Redfern does well. Just couldn't find Ritchie there. Redfern. Got the nod for the midfield position. There might have been thoughts in Joe Royle's mind of playing a fourth attacking player in Frank Bunn, or even in Roger Palmer. He's one of the substitutes, Palmer. Corner number 3 for Manchester United. There's Palmer in the centre, Warhurst to the left as we look. The other Oldham substitute. In comes Bruce. Holden went with him. Owen only partially away. Good turn by Gibson and a free kick. Bruce has got away, but he's offside.
Oldham have held the 18-yard box very well. That's about 3 free kicks now Manchester United have played in, and you know, that one was offside. Steve Bruce getting in there too early, and the other 2 have gone harmlessly through to John Hallworth. And at the moment, Manchester United finding it difficult to get a clear-cut opening.
We've been playing for 20 minutes. Noel Barrett's 6-minute goal dividing the teams. Manchester United seemingly having to do everything at a stretch. And this is Ritchie, good cover by Ince. Webb is virtually playing up front alongside Hughes, to whom he gives possession. Real determination from Barrett, shoulder to shoulder. And Robson will be spoken to by the referee. That really was a very poor challenge, one born of frustration. I'm sure he was upset that Barrett had won the ball.
It was a wonderful tackle by old Barrett. He's so quick in his recovery, and there's Brian Robson. Well, he must have made a few tackles already, hadn't he? You wouldn't think he's been out as long as he has.
Off the head of Phelan. And I think if there's a word that would sum up Manchester United's performance so far, it is uncomfortable all over the pitch. They're not enjoying what they're being asked to do. Not quite sure why Holden didn't give that to Hallworth, and I think Hallworth might agree with me. Hughes. Owen's clearance. Brian Robson was offside, and so probably were Webb and Hughes. Hughes took his goal tally to 13 with a brace against Coventry a week ago yesterday. offside again. United certainly pushing up. Hughes a bit surprised about that. Redfern. Barrett. Marshall. Good passing, good pace. And adequate cover. Good challenge by Holden. Ritchie looking for a goalkeeper off his line. No mean effort. Scored 25 times this season. It's kept in. No, it's not. The linesman says the ball was taken out by the goalkeeper, so it's a corner. Leclerc. At the back is Hughes. Bit of a wrestling hold from Pallister. And that's for Webb, but it's covered by Barrett. Full value for their lead, Oldham Athletic. Won comfortably by Rick Holden. Takes on Phelan for the first time, really. Webb. Virtually playing as a forward now. And being covered by Barrett. Oh, look at that for confidence. Maybe overconfidence. Played Barlow into a little bit of trouble. Ince. Free kick given against Henry. A bit of a wave of the arm that made contact. Typical of the tigerish play that he and Milligan are producing in midfield. Leclerc, Barlow with him. Easy for Henry. Not the best of clearances. And it was out before Ritchie made contact.
Well, at the moment, it's still Manchester United who are looking the more shell-shocked side. They haven't found their rhythm at all. The sort of system with Neil Webb floating around hasn't really worked. Colin Gibson playing wide today, out wide on the left, and with Mark Robins and Danny Wallace on the bench, Danny Wallace in particular, you do sort of wonder if it stays like this, you know, how long before perhaps an early change might come into play.
United throw quickly taken by Webb. Good shoulder to shoulder again with Barrett, who doesn't look as physically strong, but is matching pound for pound. And Ince complaining again. And the young man of considerable talent, Paul Ince, should really be concentrating on his game.
Jogging back there, Paul Ince, and certainly, as you say, he is a temperamental lad, and if he just concentrated on the skill he's undoubtedly got, because he looks probably as lively and as sharp as any United player, and to keep complaining about decisions is silly.
Good run by Milligan, but there's a losing battle in height with Pallister. Oldham. Free kick is against Phelan for a late contact after the ball had gone away. So we're all right on the spot. Oldham and Marshall on the far side, Ritchie ahead of them. Oldham balls away. Pallister. Wasn't the best of clearances by Gary Pallister. Beautiful first time ball by Milligan. That's a teaser and is well held. Well played by Barlow. Mistake by Pallister, but he's able to recover. I would suggest that Oldham are winning about 90% of the 50-50 balls. Hughes. Barrett. Bruce. And Robson! It's 1-1! He's done it again. Including a replay, that's 4 semi-finals running in which he scored. Beautifully played through. And Robson, Hallworth got a touch on it, but couldn't keep it out. Excellent first-time ball. Hallworth may count himself a little unlucky, but Brian Robson has done it again.
Well, amazing, isn't he? There he is, a little smile, and really suddenly gets United back in a game that they were looking so edgy, and really, I suppose the selection is justified in that goal, isn't it? Neil Webb gets it, lovely touch through as Oldham try to play the offside, and there it is.
Pallister doing well to protect the lead. The comparison of stride. Here's McClare. Play on, says the referee. Not a protest from United, and rightly. That was either a first-time shot from McClare or nothing. Proved to be the latter. The boos are from the crowd. There wasn't even a raised eyebrow from United players that I saw. From McClare, but the noise is coming from the Manchester United support, and this is a testing time for Oldham in a match in which they have been dominant until Robson scored off the head of Marshall. Gibson only to Redfern, and Redfern couldn't keep it down. He had actually rather more time than he took, but that's so easy to say from up here. Well, has Joe Royle's 41st birthday been spoiled by a man he's very happy to acknowledge as a close friend, Alec Ferguson and his team. 1-1 it is. And the drama does seem to have made its way up the M6. Hughes. Corner. It's often been said that semi-finals are dull, tense affairs. Not today. Fifth corner for Manchester United against 1 for Oldham. Sorry, against 1. Out by Owen. Gibson popping up on the right side. Never looked likely to get the cross with the right foot. Bruce, solid challenge. Owen, Bruce again. Ritchie. Marshall is down the middle. Ritchie alongside. Marshall has Pallister for company. Well held by Martin. Milligan. Henry. Barlow. Holden. Of the Rick variety. He's away. Ince the cover man. Spoilt the cross. Couldn't deny it, but he spoilt it, did Paul Ince. Second corner for Oldham. Redfern has come across to take it. Ritchie right in front of Jim Leighton. Met by Robson. Phelan. McClare. Finds Hughes. Hughes made that the case. Too far for Webb to run. Bruce was appealing for offside with 3 United defenders behind him. Manchester United a week ago managed a second consecutive league win for the first time. I guess they won 2 on the trot. I'm not sure what the second consecutive doesn't make it 4. But they have never managed this season in all competitions to win 3 matches on the trot. First time they had 2 under their belt. They came here to Main Road and were walloped 5-1 by Manchester City. This is Henry. And after Henry is Holworth. Ten minutes of the half remaining. The score 1-1. Scores Barrett and Robson. This is Redfern and Bruce, and that's a corner. Marshall and Ritchie. Marshall comes a little off the line to be in line with the near post. Ritchie is blatantly pushed. Doesn't complain about it, but was certainly pushed. Leighton just got him out of the way. It's gone for another corner. And the referee, in fact, went to have a word there with Jim Leighton. At the back is Holden. But trying to get round Steve Bruce, he couldn't direct the header. Look at that. No question about it. He got away with it. And Ritchie didn't complain. Hughes. Henry. Barlow. Holden again. We've got a man over. Gibson, back by Henry, kept his eyes firmly on the ball. Gibson again. Hughes just having to work hard for his money. Would have been nice had it worked. Marshall. Challenged by Pallister, who looked the favourite. Barlow. Henry. Redfern. Goal kick.
Well, the pace hasn't slackened, has it? Oldham haven't suffered adverse reaction, having got pegged back to one apiece, and at the moment, even Stephen, with perhaps both defences working hard to make sure that not many chances created in the last few minutes.
Milligan and Robson. Ritchie and Bruce. Ritchie played Bruce and not the ball. The reason for the free kick. And I think Bruce got a bit of a knock in the face. Or was it a bit lower? Ritchie certainly turned his body to play the defender. His hair was pretty short. I talked to him in the week. I think he's had a haircut since then. Webb, not comfortable for Holden. Nice touch by McClare. Ince still. Good vision. Phelan. Barrett's header. Ritchie to the right. Bruce goes with him. Good running on by Owen. Marshall is waiting, so is Holden. This is Marshall! This is Holden. Corner, says the referee. But they got caught out down their left flank then, Manchester United, because Owen just kept running. Suddenly found he was on his own with the ball in a fair amount of space. Ritchie in front of Leighton again. Marshall just further out. Good punch, but it comes straight to Henry. Off the line by Ince. And forget that I said good punch, because it wasn't. Under pressure from Ritchie, it was a pretty poor punch. And Leighton was fairly fortunate to get away with it. Henry denied by Paul Ince. Comfortably cleared by the man on the line. Well, even so.
Two escapes there, really. The first one was a great run down the right by Irwin, who whipped in the cross, and Marshall's header was blocked by Pallister. And then again there, Henry, low drive. There was Paul Ince doing his job at what he was put there for on the line and hooking it away. But they do like to get the fullbacks, Irwin and Barlow forward. And at the moment, certainly Oldham reacted better than Manchester United haven't got level, really.
Strong challenge by Ince on Henry. Phelan did well. Hughes. McClare. Webb pulls away. It's coming out to Robson! And it got deflected for the corner. United player is down. It's Brian Robson. And I think he just fell awkwardly as he came through. Webb did well here because he went one way, then pulled back, but just couldn't pull back enough. And they're all committed, the weight's all the wrong way. In comes Robson, two go to challenge him, and off one, the ball went for the corner. Driven in, and it's Ritchie who clears spectacularly after Hallworth had missed equally spectacularly. That's an awkward one. Foul on the goalkeeper by Bruce.
We're not no shortage of goalmouth incident, is there? That one, Brian Robson again surging through late, and Irwin, with a combination and a bit of help from Barrett, both got up and just blocked it. Otherwise, there was a second goal for the man himself.
Dennis Irwin. Pallister. Gibson. Webb. Beautifully won by Redfern. Good passing by Oldham. Holden. Henry, unbelievable muddle, but Ince unties the knots. Hughes, good try, held off his man well, struck it well with the left foot. Leclerc. Gibson makes the run. Irwin goes with him. And we're into the last 2 minutes of a vigorous half. Henry, Ritchie, such a good target man, brings in so many players. Oldham have proved themselves over the season. Their cup successes may have been on their own pitch, but should be remembered, they held Everton at Goodison, they held Southampton at the Dell, and their passing quality has been noted all around. And one of the sad things about the fact that the pitch will go is that all the youngsters who was able to watch playing on it last week will not have a place to go. One of the pluses of plastic pitches. Milligan, Ritchie, as we move into the last minute of the half. And Henry tried to spread it out. Barlow, Milligan, a quick look up first. It's a coming player is Michael Milligan. Not quite what Marshall intended. Webb. Ritchie. Good first touch, good use. Good cover again by Ince, and he's done a lot of that. Nice little shimmy too. But Neil Webb certainly hasn't got the pace back yet, and it's not a surprise. Just Worrell allowing a little time for the odd stoppage and injury. Occasional word in passing. A watch by Martin. Foot was high by Milligan, and the referee wants to talk to Mike Milligan. But no major problems for Gibson. That's a nasty one. And John Hallworth decided to watch it, and I think Barrett is telling him that just maybe he made the wrong decision, but he survived. Webb can take the corner. Number 7 for Manchester United. It's a lucky number for some people. Comfortably away by Owen, and it's all square with Earl Barrett opening the scoring in the 6th minute, and Brian Robson scoring the equaliser in the 29th. Plenty of incident, all to play for. Half-time, 1-1.
Well, we've had 9 goals. I reckon we could have had about a dozen, and I'm told, my betting friends tell me, Jim, that you could have got...
Yes, the second half of Manchester United's 18th FA Cup semi-final, and the second half of Oldham's 2nd. The only previous one was back in 1913, when they lost to Aston Villa, having beaten Manchester United en route to the semi-final. Final check of Joe Worrell's watch. Are we to get decision in the next 45 minutes? Or will there be extra time in this one as well? Webb. And Barlow. Ince. Robson. Tried to get the right weight, didn't quite give it enough. Pass was intended for Webb, trying to return the compliment. Set up Webb, having set up Robson for United's goal in the first half. Away by Martin. Free kick against Hughes. And I wonder, Trevor, what the managers would have been saying at half-time, because Joe Rowe must feel his side have played very well. Alec Ferguson probably feels that his side didn't play that well, and yet it's 1-1.
I think, as you say, Oldham, Joe Rowe would have been the better pleased, and I thought they finished the second half very well, and then Manchester United sort of Webb there playing through, and Robson coming back into the team, gradually edged their way back into the fray. I thought Paul Ince played well in midfield, and sort of the back four had an edgy start, didn't they? The equaliser settled those down, and certainly probably now, as I say, it's been important to gain the initiative early in this second half for one side or the other.
Referee had a quick word with Ritchie. Gets the ball well, beats Robson. And Marshall in need of quicker feet. If Marshall had not been Marshall but Ritchie, which of course would have been impossible because Ritchie passed in the ball, but you get what I mean. Ritchie's moves his feet rather more quickly and might have got in there, but Marshall, the taller fellow, found it much more difficult.
To be fair to centre-back really for most of his career, and then this season, because of injuries, he's pushed up front. He had a really purple spell, didn't he, during the cup run, and really has kept his place up there.
Leclerc, Webb, cover again by Barrett. He and Milligan, the stars of the Oldham show in the first period. Marshall. It's too far because Holden had already come in and indeed was nearer the striker of the ball than was Ritchie. Support making themselves heard. They were given 18,000 tickets, Manchester United 27,000, reflecting the difference in size of the average gate. Oldham's 18,000, really satisfying. Just about everybody. 27,000 obviously not for Manchester United, a total satisfaction. Henry and Ince. Henry played it out. Webb instantly on to Hughes. Barrett at his back, and with a little nod. Good turn by Ritchie. Needs support. Having waited, didn't find the pass he was looking for. Redfern. Ritchie just got a touch, but no more. Hughes has had to wander lonely. Barlow. Good support from those who've come from the town on the edge of the Pennines. Offside flag. Kick from the wrong place and a slightly disjointed start to the second half. 5 minutes of it have elapsed. Bruce finds the right blade of grass. Barrett beats Hughes in the air again. Ritchie holds it up, but Redfern had not made the run, and Ritchie was caught by Bruce, whose challenge was late. Few boos for Bruce, but I don't think they'll trouble him too much. Pallister with Marshall. Holden feeling together. Ritchie and Bruce. Marshall. Robson who got it clear. Good play by Milligan. Oh, his save! That was brilliant, and his foot was taken away by Ince. What a good little player this, I suppose we have to call him Irishman now.
Yeah, I don't know whether to suggest to Jack Charlton he should pick him, because they'll make it that much harder for England, but he certainly had an excellent season and competing very well today.
Comfortable for Leighton. Milligan, in fact, was born in Manchester, but parental Irish connections. But he's quick, he's skillful, and he's very competitive. Marshall stole half a yard. Lee Martin, the youngsters who came into the side last season and has kept his place. Some people would suggest he's been the most consistent player in the United side this season. Owen, Robson, Barrett. Well played by Redfern. And he felt it, but couldn't see where it had gone. Won by Holden in extremis. Marshall went offside for a second then. Gibson. Leclerc on the touchline. Webb inside and he's offside. And the Oldham back four played that very well indeed.
Again, the offside, they do hold fairly flat line, Oldham. It just got caught out once, of course, Brian Robson with his equaliser. And it's just a case of just timing the run again at the right time with Manchester United. Want to make a breakthrough. Although, of course, without Danny Wallace in the front line, they do that little bit of pace that they've perhaps had in other matches this season.
Danny Wallace, in case you've joined our coverage late, is one of the two Manchester United substitutes. Leighton asked to do a lot, but did it without due alarm. Barrett. Seemed to come off the hand of Henry, but inadvertently, says Mr. Worrell. Barlow. Holden hasn't had too many runs at Phelan, whose main preoccupation has been making sure he knows where Holden is. Bruce didn't make it. Milligan. Goal kick. Milligan felt that he didn't have a clear view of the ball. Won by Holden. Milligan. Holden. Held off by McClare. quite fairly. Well, he mishit the pass. That was intended, I think, not for Martin, but for Hughes. Minutes of the second half. No addition to the score. And Oldham still shading it on the balance of play. And Hughes changed that. Webb, Robson, long way for Phelan to go, and Robson checks out and goes the other way. And then plays it to a more static Phelan. Ince. Barlow came off Holden, and with the use of the hand, Manchester United had the free kick. For which Pallister starts coming forward, and Marshall returns to the old role there, the number 9 in blue of central defender. Too short from Phelan. Set pieces haven't really been very good for Manchester United. And Ince is in trouble, and Ritchie was too eager.
Paul Ince tried to ruffle Andy Ritchie's hair and found himself in trouble there, didn't he?
I would have thought there was a danger of a splinter. Here they are, having a little swing around each other's neck. I suppose you might say Brian Clough would have approved. Barrett underneath it, came off the shoulder of Hughes. Offside against Holden. Webb and Holden. In comes McClare, away by Milligan. Martin, useful. Robson asked a bit too much of Martin. Marshall. Bannister. Won by Holden. At the moment it's a game poised and not quite sure where it's going. Barrett. Had to win that then, Barrett, because Hughes would have been away had he not done so. Milligan, Henry, rather telegraphed the pass. Holden, Henry. Similarities between the two little fellows at the centre of the midfield for Oldham. Here's Henry. Slightly confused by Marshall, I think. Hughes prepared to go again. Barrett goes with him. Crowd get up and complain. For me, Barrett performs another very fine piece of defensive play. Ritchie. Not a good first touch that time. Hughes. In for McClare. And again, Oldham would have been in trouble had that got through. Instead, they have a free kick.
Yes, if that had gone through, McClare was clear. But Mark Hughes getting a bit frustrated because Earl Barrett's had an excellent game. He and Milligan have been outstanding for Oldham.
Well won by Redfern and claimed by Jim Leighton. inside two-thirds of the 90 minutes. 1-1 the score. Henry. Redfern. And I suppose, Trevor, normally one would say that the longer it goes on, the more experienced team would be fancied. But at the heart of that experienced Manchester United team, there are two players who haven't played very much first-team football.
Well, here's a problem with Webb and Robson, but, you know, there's another man there as well, Colin Gibson, who only came back last month after 18 months out. I'm sure Danny Wallace will come on this half. It's just a case of which one of that trio will be the one to make way for him.
Here's Marshall. Good save and a very good shot. Good cover by Bruce. Hit that very well indeed. Was just sufficiently far ahead for him to thump it, and it had some venom and was well knocked down. Jim Leighton, steely eyes. And the reflex is sharp, might have to be again. Calmly played by young Martin. Marshall and Leighton are both down in the area. Left knee as far as Marshall is concerned. Somewhere around the middle as far as Jim Leighton is concerned. Good play by Martin at the end of all of that. Goalkeeper had to come for it.
Great ball from Andy Ritchie. It was one of those, Jim Leighton being a bit cheeky there, but yeah, it was one of those that when it came across, Jim Leighton had to come, as you say, for it. Ian Marshall dived in, and neither of them actually touched it, but they just collided. I think it's Ian Marshall came off a bit worse with a rap on the knee. Jim Leighton looked to be the only thing he damaged perhaps was his short.
Nice handshake. The atmosphere's been good between the two sides. It's been a competitive semi-final that's had some very good moments. I was asking a lot that it should live up to the earlier one of the day, but it's making a gallant effort. Free kick against Marshall for the challenge on Ince, and Ince again complains. It would be a shame if his talent is stifled by his temperament. Alec Ferguson having a few words with the linesman. Oh, Ince wanted it square then and didn't get it. Redfern. Good way to ball up to Marshall. Bruce holds off the challenge. Finds McClare. Robson and Holden having a wrestling match down the middle. Holden hasn't had much change out of Phelan. What will Webb get out of Holden? Hughes is in the middle, two others coming up, covering header from Barrett. Ritchie. Patterson. Sudden increase in pace. Ince. Ince complaining at Martin. Arm up by Henry. United's free kick. Gibson. Ince. Webb. Looked like a little bit of a nudge, but the referee will have none of it. Ince the first to complain. Webb was waiting for it to come down. And was challenged. Mr. Worrell had a very good view of it. Martin, who played the ball in, And there looked like a little nudge there by Barlow on Webb. Manchester United have had one penalty all season, and that was in the opening match, and John Lukic saved from Brian McClare. They haven't had one since, which is quite amazing. That incident in the 65th minute of the match. The one here, I mean, not the one against Lukic. Marshall. Where did he come from? Free kick for the challenge by Colin Gibson.
Certainly that penalty decision, I've seen penalties given for less, that's for sure.
Owen with a kick. Met by McClare. Holden. Ritchie didn't make it. The whistle had gone. The whistle had gone. Oh, a little bit of pushing, I think, by Ritchie. That would really have rubbed salt into the wounds, because they did seem to have a pretty good case for a clumsy challenge by Barlow on Webb, but Mr. Worrell had an excellent view and decided against. Shadow of the main stand creeping across the ground. Good ball by Ince. With the spin, very sharply. McClare finds Webb. Good attack. 4 up for Manchester United. Good claim by Holworth. Robson and McClare end up in the goal. Oldham come away with the ball. Holden. It's been pretty quiet, really, to tell the truth. Ince. Showing good pace. Handball by Barlow. He's played well, has Paul Ince, but he's inhibited himself, in my view, by a few too many words. But at least this time he's smiling. Holden's header. Marshall was the player in the sandwich. And the foul by Henry, but the referee played a good advantage. Barrett out of it, and Gibson, the flag is up on the far side. That's one of the few occasions that Barrett has been left, and the decision for offside was pretty tight. Ritchie trying to come in, Leighton didn't come out. And Phelan did it well. May have been too far for Leighton to come. Holden. Oh, it's superbly done. Holden has not shown Phelan a clean pair of heels at any stage that I can remember. But this fellow, just one mistake just a few seconds ago that I can remember. Barlow. Not too much more than a hopeful prod forward. Hughes getting ahead of Holden. McClare, Webb. Seems to be a growing influence. Here's Hughes. Owen just got a foot in. It's a good challenge by the fullback. Alistair. Ince. Robson. Ince. Martin. Everybody in red is to his right. Barlow only down to Webb. It's Robson he tried to find. Could be a break here. This is Redfern. Ritchie far side, Marshall far side as well. Redfern, he lost control then for a minute. Comes to Ritchie. And they look at Redfern and say, why? They had a real chance. If Redfern had done precisely what Ritchie was signifying then, it had to be played in.
Well, they had an extra man there, but he just got his head down, and it was very noticeable Manchester United when they did break down. They were very tired getting back, and you do feel that a substitution must be coming up very shortly, really.
Both the substitutes for United are forwards, Wallace and Robbins. And the substitution looks as though it is going to be made. Wallace is going to come on, and Robson, the number 7 was shown then, is going to come off. Brian Robson hands the captain's band to Steve Bruce and comes off to a tremendous ovation. Given it all, scored the equaliser. But in the end, was clearly running out of steam. Here's Ince. They need even more from Paul Ince, who's been the pick of the midfield, I think. Wallace hopeful of a first touch. New challenge for Barlow. As an out-and-out winger, if that's the way he's being asked to play. First round to Barlow. Phelan. Slightly stubbed it, but it comes to Gibson. And it's Webb. There was a little hesitation, and Webb is engulfed. Came across to Gibson, it was slightly mishit, I think, with the early header in, and it was Webb. It came more off his forehead, the ball hitting that rather than the reverse. He was turning with a goalkeeper who decided to come late, and Manchester United have the lead. Neil Webb is their scorer. A goal in the 73rd minute, his second of the season. Will it take Manchester United to Wembley?
Well, what a substitution, eh? Danny Wallace out on the right there. And he puts the cross over. Lee Martin nodded it back, and I think you can say Alex Ferguson made sure he took the right man off, because Neil Webb was still on the field. There hit his head. I'm not sure he knew where it was going. Bobbled in the net. Hallworth came off the line to try and punch it, and there Alex Ferguson well pleased now, suddenly 2-1 up.
Ritchie. Well, in the other semi-final, the supposed underdogs came back with a vengeance. What can Oldham do? Bodies in the area. It'll be a corner when it's all sorted out. Willie Donachie in the foreground, the former Manchester City player. Joe Royle's number 2. And Joe Royle with a comment to make, but not wanting at this stage to be seen too clearly. From his point of view, it was a poor goal to give away.
When you think all the queries about whether Brian Robson and Neil Webb were going to play, or one of them, or whatever, and suddenly, who's the 2 goal scorers today? For those.
Well, Alex Ferguson, maybe somebody up there does love him. He's lived on a knife edge all season, and it's a knife that's been increasingly sharp. Could all change for him. But here comes the corner. Barrett pulling away the corner far too short. Rick Holden, who's been a disappointment for Oldham. Barrett has gone forwards. Ince, Marshall. Andy Holden, well, didn't hesitate. We're into the last 15 minutes. The First Division side lead. Marshall. The ball went out. And Alec Ferguson with his arm round his skipper. Could be useful. Redfern needed Bruce to play it. The new skipper demanding concentration. Owen. Redfern got away. It's a good cross. Marshall! What an unbelievable day this is. It was a good cross. Redfern got away from Ince. It was half clear, but only to Marshall, who thumped it into the far bottom corner. And it's 2-2. Really did well then, Redfern. And so did Marshall. 2 goals inside 3 minutes. And once again, Wembley doesn't know who will be its second visitor in May.
Quite amazing, isn't it? Really, it's something.
Free kick against Henry. Sorry to interrupt you, Trevor, but for a moment it looked as though Ince was going to make that.
One of those days where you can't linger for too long talking, because suddenly you'll end up with a goal in the net. But a lot of character, Oldham. In fact, they were going to just make a substitution themselves. Then Redfern made the opening. Marshall tucked it away. And I think we might just have had a temporary halt for that substitution, because suddenly now it's 2-2.
Paul Walhurst in the foreground. Five men in the wall. Webb takes it. Oh, they fell for that. Wallace. Out by Barrett. And if they were watching the first semi-final, they'd have seen Crystal Palace fall for that sort of thing. Wallace. And Palace came back. What about Oldham? Ritchie. Redfern. Marshall is underneath it. McClare. Ritchie trying to answer the cries of the crowd. Pallister. He's had a number of balls come to him that he's found the bounce unkind. Here's Milligan. Not the best of clearances by the Scottish goalkeeper. Holden. Becoming more of an influence. Came off Bruce. Martin. Ince. Run away from him. Ritchie and Bruce. Nicely trapped on the thigh. What a ball! He couldn't quite take it with the presence of Barrett, could Hughes, but it was a fine pass by Ince. Holden. Last 5 minutes have been his best. And again he gets the cross in. Well taken by Leighton.
Because, of course, when Danny Wallace came on and got pushed out wide on the right and moved Brian McClair inside to replace Robson, Brian McClair worked back very well to cut off a bit of the service to Holden, and suddenly Danny Wallace is not such a good defensive flank player, and he's not covering, and suddenly Holden's getting a lot more of the ball.
Which is the player who stayed down. Paul Ince didn't stay for long. Ritchie on the deck. Holden. Cut out by Neil Webb. Ince. Wallace and Barlow. Colin Gibson's got forward trying to get behind Holden. Didn't succeed. Great roars for a throw level with the 18-yard line. Won by Pallister. Back by Barlow. Ince. Little Henry. And Webb saying to Wallace, go. If you're going to play, if you're going to bring on a wide player, then he's got to be prepared to make the run or the ball inside the back. Or is that too old-fashioned? Pallister's header. Webb, the centre forward. Gibson getting forward much more. He's forward of McClair here. Now Danny Wallace. The early cross met by Holden. Ince. Wallace again. It's a good ball. Goal kick. Marshall holds it up. Barlow. Holden stays on the touchline. Play it to my feet. Marshall. Up comes Irwin. 4 blue-shirted players in the area, now 5, now 6. Redfern. Ayrton Hughes. Wallace. Webbed. Good block. Hughes hit Barrett. Ritchie. And Marshall is offside. Goodness me, John Hallworth did awfully well then. Parry down, shot from Hughes, hit Barrett. And suddenly Oldham were breaking, and at the end of it, Marshall was offside. And extra time gets closer and closer. And the substitution now to be made, and it's Paul Warhurst to come on in place of McHenry. 21-year-old replaced by a 20-year-old. Looks as though Warhurst is going to play in midfield. He's normally been the centre of the back four and a former Manchester City player. It's hanging a bit in the air. Free kick is United's way. Martin going to take it. 5 United players on the edge of the 18-yard line. One of them is Bruce, who will now have to get back if Redfern can attack. Offside against Ritchie. And Ritchie so disappointed. Gave a bit of a warming to the air in the shadow of the stand. And we are 5 minutes away from extra time. Oh, what is it about the first year of a decade? 1980, there were a total of 3 extra replays. And it was won in the end, as we said at the start of this afternoon, by a second division side. Webb, Gibson. Barrett does well to recover. Oldham. Phelan deciding to meet the challenge early. Marshall is away, Ritchie in the middle, it's going to be played in. The ball bobbled a little unkindly for him, but in truth he wasn't totally in control of the situation. Ritchie wanted the cross, and perhaps he should have been given it. He was under pressure, he waited too long. I think he didn't know about anything or anybody else other than to have a crack at goal, and he left Ritchie without possession.
It was a great run. It did Gary Pallister, who's dived in 1 or 2 occasions this afternoon and left it clear. It was on his left foot, which isn't his favourite, and he did get a very nasty bobble just as he went to hit it. It really popped up knee-high, and although Andy Ritchie probably thought he should have had it square, he could easily have scored from that position if he'd ever hit it properly.
Redfern gets it back. Play on, good advantage allowed. Marshall. Away by Phelan. Holden. Good moment to block across. Holden will try again. Changes the angle. They're queuing up. Came off Marshall, is a goal kick. And extra time is now just 3 minutes away. Foul by Holden. A little bit of pushing and holding down on Neil Webb. Hughes down the middle. McClare trying to bring Wallace into it. The ball was out. And the former Southampton player, one of the million buys, all of whom have been available today to Alec Ferguson. The little man from Southampton hasn't been able to really get in the match as Alec Ferguson would have wished. Inside the last 2 minutes. Hughes waits, Gibson is forward, so is Webb. Warhurst just reacted in time. Warhurst once more. This is a good run. He's one of the quickest around. Marshall. The early cross. Ritchie. Couldn't quite get enough height. Holden. Phelan takes the sting out of it. Warhurst came from Manchester City on a free transfer back in October '88. It's now down to seconds before the referee will signal an extra half an hour. Wallace, Webb, crosses early, Hughes, Owen's clearance, Warhurst, little dangerous. And Milligan disappointed with Redfern's pass, but Redfern probably was breathing a little heavily then. It's played into a little bit of trouble by Warhurst. Hasn't always adjusted to the pace of the game, which is so difficult to do when you come on as a substitute. Marshall, Ritchie. Where's the support? Ritchie makes a bit of time, but there isn't much of the 90 left. Redfern, it's a question of what the referee has allowed. A free kick to Oldham Athletic. Is there to be a sensational end to a hugely competitive and thoroughly entertaining contest, which has demanded much of the players? It's curling harmlessly. It's lovely to see how all the time at either end where there are seats, people can't sit down, they've got to stand up. He has to sit down, Joe Royal at the back there. Two managers have been rather better at that than have Messrs Koppel and Dalglish, who stood up for most of the first semi-final. Referee looks over at his two linesmen, who have signalled that 90 minutes is up. Played Ritchie. Play on, says the referee, but Ritchie is hurt. Ince with the header. Still play goes on. And here's Danny Wallace, but the whistle now has gone. For the second time in the day, we have extra time. Both semi-finals going into extra time. Marshall getting the equaliser in the 76th minute.
Leading up to the World
Trevor Booking would agree with that assessment, but tell me, Trevor, when Neil Webb scored, did you think it was going United's way?
Well, not after today, really, because here we have Danny Wallace just crosses it to the far. Lee Martin up for once, just floats in. Hallworth comes off, and then Neil Webb gets his head to it. Not too sure, he knows it's going in the general direction of the goal and is pleased to see it drift into that empty net. And then Redfern, who of course used to be at Crystal Palace, will want to play them against them in the final. And there's Ian Marshall, right foot. And that's why these days he's playing up front rather than in the centre-back position. But, you know, Neil Webb, I thought, lasted the pace very well. Shaking his head there, thinking to himself, well, I thought that second goal was going to be enough. And also probably saying to Brian Robson, what about that save he made from me just near the end as well?
But in a way, the comparison of those two goals, I mean, the one from Manchester United, I suppose it should be said, had an element of fortune. The one from Oldham was really carved out, and that rather backs up Jimmy Hill's observation that Oldham have been the more complete side.
Well, United have never really flowed all season. I mean, they've been worried about relegation, and then have just edged a couple of good results in recent weeks. And then, you know, they're getting away victories in the FA Cup. Here they are, semi-final. They came to today really being the favourites. Oldham just slipping away a little bit in the league. But really, you know, they have been the better balanced side, Oldham. But United seem to have this season have had that knack of always just conjuring up that winning goal whenever necessary in the FA Cup. We shall see whether they can do it again here in extra time.
Well, the managers have said their words. And the teams are to play as they were in the second half, which is Manchester United defending the goal to our right. Marshall, whose goal brought about the extra time, and certainly over the 90 minutes, Oldham did not deserve to lose. Milligan gets Oldham going again. Demands on fitness, demands on nerve. And fortune, always a major factor. Here's Holden. Gets the cross again. Redfern, the nod down. Marshall blocked in front of his goalkeeper by Steve Bruce. Bruce and Leighton were almost in the same boot then. Ritchie seems to have recovered from his knock. He got just at the end of the 90 minutes. Brave header by Barrett, which was costly. He stayed down. Away goes Warhurst. He is pretty quick, but not the most accurate of crosses. Hughes. Bruce's head. Gibson's foot, only to Barrett, who's recovered from the knock. Ritchie showed too much, nicked away by McClare. Useful for Wallace. Test of his pace, now test of his finish, and he's equal to both. The face of delight is lost in the crowd. A fine ball through. The finish, as the goalkeeper came somewhat feet first, was what was required. Burst through two defenders, and Manchester United lead 3-2.
Great ball from Brian McClare. Once again, Oldham trying to hold the line, and Danny Wallace, with that extra pace, just timed his run perfectly. Got through against the goalkeeper. Didn't hit the shot that well. He scuffed it a bit, but I'm sure he's not complaining, because once it went past Hallberg, even though it was going very slowly, it was always going to make the goal.
Well, certainly some repayment of £1.2 million. Scored a fine goal at Newcastle, you remember, and has now put United back in front. Gibson. Redford. Warhurst. Barlow. Not the best of passes by Barlow. Marshall. Oldham led, Manchester United equalised, United went in front, Oldham equalised. Now United ahead again. All their matches on the road to Wembley, and they've all been away from home. This is the nearest they've been to home, playing on the ground of Manchester City. Have been won by the odd goal. 1-0 at Forest, 1-0 at Hereford, 3-2 at Newcastle, 1-0 at Sheffield United. Can Joe Royle's team bring an end to that sequence? Hughes from Leclerc's pass again. And the free kick could have been given against Hughes, but the referee decides to let play continue, having acknowledged the linesman's signal. Martin. Milligan gets hold of it. Ritchie can't hold it in. And the last card to be played by Oldham Athletic, and it's the former Manchester City player who is to be brought into the fray. Roger Palmer takes over from Andy Ritchie, who battled away all through, took several knocks, only his second game back after a long time out with a groin injury. Like Brian Robson, the demands of the contest in the end proving too much. And here's Palmer's first touch. Holden. Always looked to hold the key at the start. Couldn't even find the door for much of the match, but latterly has had quite an influence. Good challenge. Andy Ritchie so much wanted to beat his old side, not from a point of view of revenge, but having been the 13th man and having lost in the semi-final when he played for Leeds United, felt that the fate should be kind to him. They might still be, but without him for the rest of this one. Won by Holden. And here's Palmer with Pallister. Well played, Pallister. Holden timed his move forward very well indeed. Near Webb. That's Horwitz. By the head of Barlow. First 7 minutes of the first period of extra time. 15 each way, extra time. Earl Barrett. Kicked by Gibson. Bit of a hand-off by Oldham, but Hughes maybe made more of it than there was. Good ball in. By Owen, who gets it back. Oh, it's a poor cross. Pity for Oldham because he was well placed, and so were three runners in the middle.
Unusual for Dennis Irwin because he is a very good attacking fullback, had an excellent season as well in all their cup runs and their push to try and get in the playoffs and promotion. But at the moment, test of character really, Oldham. This is their 54th game. It's asking a lot. They've battled back to get equal in the 90 minutes. Now going behind in extra time. You just wonder whether they can lift themselves. Joe Roll likes to switch things around. You wonder whether he's put an extra one of his backmans up front in the second period of extra time, perhaps.
Ince to Wallace and back to Ince. Good switch by Ince to get the ball in front of him again. Mike Phelan. Offside. Against Gibson, I think. Webb's header. Holden. Offside. Against both Palmer and Marshall. Still the anxiety lingers. Still the edge is sharp. Young Warhurst trying to lift Oldham. But they're making mistakes with their passing, which seems to be born of fatigue. Both managers down on the touchline. I think Joe Ryan has had one of his wishes come true, because his side has certainly proved to any doubters that they are a very good side and that their success is not down just to the fact that they have a different pitch from other people's. They've played well here, Trevor.
Well, I think sometimes they've been unfairly suggested, the artificial pitch, which, when you think back of that unbeaten run, what, 30-odd games, they did know how to play on it, there's no question. But despite that, they are a very good side. They've proved it today. And in Barrett and Milligan, they've got two players who really are First Division quality.
Hold up is because Lee Martin, I think, has a bit of cramp. I hope it's nothing more serious than that. There's Danny Wallace, whose goal divides the teams. Manchester United support all around the ground are celebrating the victory. But they should perhaps learn from recent history. Only earlier in the day, Crystal Palace were down 3-2 to Liverpool and won. It's Mark Robbins, the last of the substitutes. Martin, clearly feeling it. He's got a bit of a dead leg, I think. That's an awkward cross. It's well claimed. I think it was intended as a cross. It became rather a testing shot.
Joe Royle actually has pushed Neil Redfern just in the picture there, just behind the front two. So he has switched tactics a little bit, trying to get extra men forward.
Here's Holden. Oh, he's away from Phelan. Punched by Leighton. Bannister was rather in his way. And the free kick is to United. It's Neil Webb who's down. I think it's only cramp again.
Waiting to thinking about bringing Mark Robbins on. I suppose they've got to wait and see. Here we can see on this particular cross, didn't quite get his punch. Jim Leighton, there it is, blowing about, and Neil Redfern getting his arm up early, and a free kick. And just, I think as he jumped up, Neil Webb, the pushing off action brought on the cramp. And Alex Ferguson probably saying, how is he, before he decides who comes off and if Mark Robbins comes off.
Rollins still has to wait. Webb is okay. Meantime, Martin seems to be moving rather better than he was a few moments ago. Martin has been pushed a bit forward, with Gibson dropping to his old position at left back. Sort of left midfield, come slightly further forward, with Gibson solidly at left back. Barlow. Just got to keep up the quality of their passing, Oldham, which is increasingly difficult as they're playing not only against Manchester United but against time.
All cat and mouse at the moment tactically, because Alex Ferguson, seeing Redfern switched, has decided to bring Neil Webb back from his forward position, and you can see him right back, just about thinking about taking that free kick, but he's playing very deep now, doing a marking job himself.
Won by Holden. Warhurst to Barlow. A long clearance perhaps from Holworth, who's very capable of them, as Aston Villa know to their cost. Won by Webb. Holden, Redfern. Irwin is up in the attack. Milligan, Palmer, Milligan. Nice touch. Redfern, not such a good touch. Still feel that if Oldham were to save themselves, it's this fellow who'll be the supplier. Rick Holden. Appeal for handball, not given. Oh, mistake by Phelan. Ince wins a wrestling match that followed. And Hughes and Holden, free kick. Won't count, even if it had gone in. Holden, I think, found the back of his ankle stepped on, or at least interfered with. And we're almost at half-time and extra time, and Leighton saves his team. Phelan, this is not all over yet. Ince. Wallace. Good ball by Ince. Martin is the other side coming in, number 2. And Barrett gets there just ahead of him. Crowd whistling for the half-time whistle of extra time. Oh, lovely control by Warhurst. This is Milligan. Palmer makes the diagonal run and finds Irwin, who needs a good cross and doesn't get it. Twice he's been well placed, Irwin, and has disappointed himself and his team. Now a third chance. Oh dear. Oh, you feel for him.
Well, they say they come in three, so he's got that one out of his system. Next one, hopefully, will be all right. But Oldham still pushing forward, and certainly Man United. Steve Coppell probably watching this game back home, wondering if he's going to meet his old club, Manchester United, in the final. Can't relax right up until that final whistle.
The final substitution is to be made. On comes Mark Robbins, scorer of the goal which started United on the road to Wembley against Nottingham Forest, and he's replaced Lee Martin. It's half-time in extra time. Well, I said, Trevor, it's not all over yet. In spite of the goal that Wallace scored, a fine ball from Brian McClare. Not the cleanest of side foots, but clean enough. And Oldham have 15 minutes left to save themselves. Booked to Wembley already in the Littlewoods Cup. Come back to square it at 2-2. Can they do it? 3-3. Hughes and Barrett. Oof. Starts with showing a bit from Mr. Robbins. Marshall has to chase his own pass and does, and is fouled. And Pallister got a knock after that, quite inadvertently, I think. He seemed to get a boot in the face.
Still out, Gary Pallister, as you say, it takes the time. I think just then he seems to be all right. Then he just must have felt and slumped down, and it must have been a knock because he's still motionless lying there. And of course, a bit worried because Alex Ferguson has just brought Mark Robbins on. Lee Martin was unable to continue, so they haven't got a substitute to replace him. But at the moment, still lying there, smelling salts and everything, not working.
Good shots from the dugout for Manchester United. Archie Knox down there. And I think Pallister is coming round. Now Owen, who couldn't find the crosses, can he now find the free kick? Met well by Pallister. That's what you call a good recovery. Milligan. Yes, the space here for Marshall. And Palmer's far side. It's all square again. This is the stuff of schoolboy comics. Palmer. It was a fine ball from Milligan that put Marshall away, and Oldham have come back again. Marvellous stuff.
Well, if you said this was going to happen today, I mean, it's really fairy tale stuff. Manchester United pushed out, tried to play offside. It was Stevie Bruce who was the last man. And look at Joe Royle there. I think he's rather enjoyed that equaliser.
I think you may have just made one of the understatements of the year, Trevor Brooking. 3-3. Warhurst. Is the feat of Crystal Palace to be emulated? Warhurst has stayed down, and as the ball crosses the halfway line, Joe Royle whistles for Warhurst to get some attention. That was the challenge. And the noise suddenly starts to grow from the Oldham end. The Manchester United support who are enjoying the sunshine, not enjoying yet another Oldham Athletic comeback.
Looks as if he's hurt. Warhurst hurt his shoulder as he fell on the hard ground. When we had the last long stop for injury to Pallister, it was on that occasion where Manchester United just went a little bit to sleep their concentration, and he half cleared it, and that's when Milligan played that through ball to Marshall. And there's Palmer, played for most of this season, sitting on the bench, no doubt enjoying the game, and who was to think he was going to come on and become an instant hero?
Well, he's their record scorer, and that one will be pretty high on the list of those he's achieved. It's a simple tap-in. The killer ball was the one played by Milligan. It was instantly played through, and it sent Marshall away and Palmer to equalise. Warhurst to carry on now. Here's Wallace. Holden times the challenge to perfection. Quite a lot of injury time to be added, but we're inside the last 10 minutes. Not accounting for that. Redfern, Bannister. And I can only think that Holden spotted a greyhound on the pitch, but I didn't see one, and his teammates didn't respond. Hughes. Good header, Barrett. Feet were high from both players, Hughes and Milligan. First timer away by Barlow. Webb. Ince. Still very sprightly. McClare. Warhurst. Redfern. Andy Barlow. Redfern, Warhurst, Redfern with a shooting chance. And it went, well, to tell the truth, it always looked like it again.
So they've just got an extra yard of pace again, haven't they, Oldham, that equaliser, and it's Manchester United who suddenly 3-2 up and looking to be in control, are looking a little bit tired, and I think perhaps hoping for the final whistle a bit more than Oldham.
Wallace. Phelan. Sun causing a few problems. Webb takes it away. Oh, they had two men over. McClare! Oh, and he blasted when he needed control. Two United to one Oldham, and then up came McClare. hit it hard, but hit it high. Webb forcing nerve and sinew, not a bad cross. Oh, and for a moment Hallward juggled with the header from Robbins. Milligan. The countdown is on 7 and still going. Pallister. Barrett trying to force him wide. Up comes Gibson. Loses to Warhurst. Robbins. Ince. Robbins wants the return. Offside against Hughes.
Little Mark Robbins nearly became back on the goal sheet again. I can remember at Nottingham Forest, then Newcastle. He popped up on our live games and netted. There he was again. He's a little fella, but great cross from Neil Webb. Got his head to it, and it was a good save by John Hallward.
Hughes trying to turn Holden. It's out to Wallace. Robbins is forward, so is Webb. Robbins! McClare. Good header by Holden, although it comes down to field an appeal for handball, which it wasn't. And away goes Holden. Pulsating finish. Ince. Arguably Manchester United's man of the match, Paul Ince. Offside flag against a Neil Webb near to exhaustion. There's a greater confidence in the cry of the Oldham supporters. We're into the last 5 minutes, plus some injury time. It's bobbling around, and Warhurst decided to take a swing. Well, big conversation before the match concerned the first semi-final, and people were saying, well, they can never manage that. Manchester managed to live up to that, Manchester United and Oldham. They certainly have. Good challenge. The first semi-final brought decision. Will this without a replay? Owen, forward for Milligan. Never really looked on. McClare. Holden. Milligan. Owen. Marshall chasing. Good covering header from Pallister. Jim Leighton joins in the applause. Barrett. Miscue by him. Oh, that's a rarity. Webb. Hughes trying to set it up. And Andy Barlow did very well indeed. And the thought occurs to me, Trevor, that I'm glad there's no man of the match, because it would be invidious to make a selection of one from those who have taken part in this contest.
No, you're quite right. I mean, really, Crystal Palace and Liverpool, Man United and Oldham, all players, including the substitutes, have taken part in a wonderful day's entertainment, really.
Wallace to take the corner. Pallister near post, Robbins far. Hughes on the far edge of the 6-yard area. Webb, it was blocked by Milligan, who sees the chance of a breakaway, which is rather wasted by Holden. Webb stays down and is in pain. And the flag has to go up for offside. And he struggles to his feet, Neil Webb. Well, in the long term, this match would have done something for his fitness, but he may not feel that tomorrow morning. Into the last 2 minutes, rather telegraph the pass. Replay, if there is to be one, will be back here at Main Road on Wednesday evening. Holden with the cross, Marshall far post! It's round the back of the goal.
We've seen that move on a few occasions this season. Ricky Holden doesn't have to really get past his man, just gets the angle, whips it in, just a bit too far. Ian Marshall tried to loop the header back towards the far post, just couldn't quite get round it.
Won by Holden, and we're into the last minute, but there is a bit of injury time to be added. Webb looks up, finds Robbins with a peach. Hughes, great stop, and a free kick given. Really did well then, did John Horwath. Had to just launch himself, and the foot was high, and the free kick is given.
Great character there, because there's no more fearsome sights. I wouldn't think of a bouncing ball and Mark Hughes bearing down on you, but dived head first, nearly lost his head, and it was Mark Hughes, as I say, was penalised. But a wonderful game, and really what I'm weary of saying with a minute to go, probably I think it's best that they come back here for a replay, because at this stage now, in the last minute, it would be a heartbreaking for either side, I think, to concede the goal.
McClare starts the United attack, Milligan goes with him, Robbins in possession. Webb. Phelan, Holden this time is the defender, and might just get away. Webb comes across, makes an excellent challenge. And it's now just a question of what Joe Royle has on his watch. Free kick is to Oldham. Barrett after 6 minutes, Robson after 29, Webb after 73, Marshall after 76. 2 goals there in the space of 3 minutes. Wallace in the 92nd minute, giving Manchester United the lead, and Palmer the equaliser. And Leighton comes for it, gets the punch. Rick Holden. Near Redfern, half away. Mr. Worrell has allowed a minute of stoppage time. Hughes looks up to see where Robbins is, and is beautifully dispossessed by Barlow. Hughes comes back in turn. What determination. Holden. The last cross, Marshall launches, but the ball was safely in the hands of Jim Leighton. Joe Royle looks down at his watch. I suppose it simply adds to the complications of Oldham's season for there to be a replay, because promotion is still their main target. Good try! Goodness me, how beautifully struck by Holden. And for a moment then, I think Joe Royle thought that might be the decider. Just curled away. Oldham at Wembley in the Littlewoods final, trying to get to Wembley in the FA Cup final, probably will be at Wembley in the promotion playoffs. But that task made more difficult by their exertions here this afternoon. Oldham once more. Took 2 to stop him. It's United throw. Holden, Milligan seems to have such awareness. Marshall and Bruce. A long one down the middle. Ooh, and it falls for Barrett. Then Webb picks it up. Robbins far side with the header, beaten to it by Irwin. Long clearance must be. It's not. Why should one make any forecast after today? We should learn. Barlow. Joe Worrell has one check of the watch, and they've got to do it all again. The two managers with their arms around each other. It's been sensational stuff. 3-3 the final outcome. A replay on Wednesday.
And you'll see that replay in Sports Night on Wednesday night. Well, it's been a quite extraordinary weekend of sport, the fastest ever Grand National. Nick Faldo could win the US Masters again. That's on later tonight. And this was the day you saw 13 goals in the FA Cup semi-finals.
Here's McMahon. Cardew. And McMahon intercepting. Rush going to the left now. Onside, Ian Rush. Liverpool take the lead, and Ian Rush, the ace goal scorer, once again makes it look so easy. Well, let's see what Palace can do about it now in the second half as they attack the Holt End here at Villa Park. John Pemberton, a lovely run early on, and a chance for Barber, and Venison, and it's a shot, and it's there by Bright. It's Mark Bright, straight from the kick-off. And now they've waved Andy Thorne up as well. Andy Gray has placed the ball. That's his cross. And Bright's there. O'Reilly's there! And Palace! Are they in front? Yes, they are! Staunton to Venison. Right across the goal. McMahon! Oh, it's there! It's 2-2! Steve McMahon! Scores. The goalkeeper went the right way, but the kick was true in the corner, and Liverpool lead by 3 goals to 2. Thomas, and Bright's in there, and Thomas, Staunton, Gray, 3-3. Andy Gray for Palace, they're back in it. Thorne flicked it on, and it's gone in. Cardew! 4-3 Palace!
Holden again. Tried to change the angle. An awkward one, and Barrett! Earl Barrett, the scorer. What a mess for Manchester United. What a delight for Oldham Athletic. Hughes. Barrett. Bruce. And Robson! It's 1-1. Phelan. Slightly stubbed it, but it comes to Gibson. And it's Webb. Irwin. Redfern got away. It's a good cross. Marshall! What an unbelievable day this is. Nicked away by McClare. Good for Wallace. Test of his pace, now test of his finish. And he's equal to both. Milligan. Yes, the space here for Marshall. And Palmer's far side. It's all square again.